Viviano, here. Forte,
Here.
Busco, Lash, Ricuti,
Here.
Robinson,
Here.
Bradenberg,
Here.
Wyatt. Okay, we do have a quorum.
Great. Okay, has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting? And any questions, comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of our meeting in April.
So moved.
Second?
A second.
I second.
Okay.
I'll do a roll call vote. Viviano, aye. Forte,
Aye.
Ricuti,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
and Bradenberg.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, you guys are going to have to bear with me. For some reason, my printer won't print, so I am working off a handwritten agenda. Under old business, we still have our public education strategy. And Casey, I think this might be a time for you to talk about your discussion with Stephanie regarding social media and all that good kind of stuff.
Yeah, happy to. I think I talked with communications about a couple of things. One, sort of marketing materials, I guess, for the tree commission. Everything from tablecloths to banners or flyers or just, the materials that you would need for tabling. And on that front, I think we can, in the interim right now, in sort of an ad hoc way, like help support development of materials and print things as needed. I think for things like the tablecloth and banners, I think it would be a good idea for the tree commission to see if tabling and sort of being out in the public realm is something you're wanting to consistently do. And if so, then we can think about budgeting for that on a recurring basis. I just don't know what your appetite is for, or your capacity is to really, be committed to that as a group on a regular kind of recurring basis. And then in terms of social media is what I mostly talked about with communications. I think sort of the same idea. I think we're happy. I'm happy to support too. If the commission wants to develop, sort of a social media campaign, we can help you to develop that and support you in that, and then put it out through the city's social media. And I think if you want to try to do that consistently and see if it's something you have interest in and capacity to do on like a regular recurring basis, then we can think about, okay, does the tree commission need its own social media platform in order to do this on their own? I think just jumping to do that right away is maybe not wise. I think we need to see if you have capacity to do it. It entails a lot, right? There's like rules that we have to follow, that you would be also having to follow. So there's training, there's probably IT things to work through. And then just from like a reach perspective, you'd be starting with zero, right? Whereas the city has kind of like a baked in audience already for you to get your message out. So on both fronts, sort of like the tabling supplies and social media, I think it would be a good idea to try both things, to kind of like test it for, a period of time and see, is this something we want to do? Is this something that we have capacity to do? Let's try to do that. And if it's successful and you want to continue, then we can think about making more, permanent recurring and changes or investments in that. I hope that makes sense.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Casey. Thoughts, folks?
Yeah. So I think that all that's great information and things to think about, Casey. I wanted to really focus on the outreach efforts, particularly the in-person outreach efforts that you mentioned. and the fact that we probably need to consider how that's going to look, not even so much right now, but maybe down the road as, some of us ultimately maybe rotate off over the next few years and other people come on. We have a very engaged group right now as far as members that are showing up to public events to, as commissioners in and of itself. I've been to several events. Sarah's at like everything I can think of. Brittany's been at several events. Patricia's been at several events. So the people that are here that are, I guess, the non, city employees. Oh, and Jackie's also clearly at a number of events. So don't want to forget Jackie and keep Akron beautiful. But definitely, as we're thinking about other people coming in, we want to probably wonder, is the level of engagement that we're doing sustainable? And if it is, then we probably want to consider some of the materials and things that we've kind of discussed. And if it isn't sustainable, then what does that look like down the road? I think that we've had some solid engagement as for now. I plan to continue to be engaged, but I also realize that this is also still a relatively new commission as far as the makeup and the layout as it currently is. So I think it's fair to ask at the same time and kind of, to a degree, what Casey brought up, but really positing that larger scale is the level of engagement that we've had thus far sustainable, and what does that look like if it's
Okay. Other thoughts?
I echo Gabe's comment and suggestion. I think that that's a really good thing to bring up, that we are pretty engaged, but there may be, future commissioners that might not be as engaged. I am curious if we know what other commissions do. I guess as far as outreach and engagement, we definitely do not have to reinvent the wheel. We can sort of model ourselves after what everyone else is doing, specifically with like social media postings. If the art commission has, Tuesdays, maybe we just think, okay, every third Wednesday, we dedicate a post to, our efforts. And, so I would be curious to know what that looks like, what other commissions have. If they're on a set schedule, then we can just come in where we need to. And I think that that is definitely more doable. I've created social media campaigns, and they are a lot of legwork, and they're very difficult to maintain. So the point that we want to make sure we do have the capacity to sustain that, because once we get that engagement, people are going to be used to that engagement. They're going to want, like, well, I did not see I think Keep Akron Beautiful does a Wednesday post for trees, and I look forward to seeing it. So I know that there are certain things that we should consider as well. So that I just wanted to add my 2 cents in with that. But I am curious what other commissions do. So maybe we can gather that information and use that to help us make a final decision.
Well, the
Yeah,
commission.
I can help look into that. I'm not sure, John Skaken or the law department, if you know offhand about what other commissions do. I don't think we have many commissions that are, our commission is a great example because they are very sort of like community facing and engagement focused, much like the tree commission, is aiming to be. But we have some other commissions that just that's not really the mission, I guess I would say, of their existence. And I don't think we have any commissions that have their own social media account right now. I like your idea, Brittany, of sort of maybe let's look into maybe what the Art Commission is doing and see if they're worked out anything with communications where they, take over social media for every other Tuesday or something like that. And maybe we could try something similar. And I think that's sort of what communications and I had in mind for you all too, is, I think it would be great if you thought about let's think about mapping out a first campaign, and communications and I could even help refine that with you, or, provide guidance, and then we could help, push it out through the city's platform. So I'll take the note away to check out what the Art Commission is doing on that front, and maybe any of the other commissions that are escaping me at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, Casey, just to follow up on that, I I'm aware that the Art Commission has its own website that's not on a City of Akron site, but I am not aware of any like Facebook or Instagram page that the Art Commission maintains. As we move forward with that too, I would just like to state that I do have some concerns about how we would be communicating publicly as a body on those. So we would probably want to have some kind of training prior to um, having a social media page if that's something we end up doing.
Just for your information, and you'll get this starting tomorrow, those of you who are going to the Tree Commission Academy. But one of the things that I appreciated this year was hearing what other commissions are doing. The Tree Commission Award, the Tree City Award last week was hosted by Avon. And I mean, you know, they've got Post-it note pads and cloth bags and all kinds of stuff. But then they've been at this for a while. But you'll find out about that. And maybe next month we can, with all of us having the same kind of information, you know, we can give that a fuller discussion. Because then we will hear, you guys will hear what other tree commissions are doing. So anyway.
I have a question. Do we
Yeah.
even know how long we're appointed for?
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think, well, doesn't matter. Okay.
I don't think we should do our own. I mean, I agree with Gabe and Brittany. We should maybe have a bi-monthly post or something on the city's site that has something to do with the commission or share information. It's hard to gain social followers, just like Casey was saying. And if we don't have relevant information to share all of the time, I don't know that it's a great idea. But I do think, sorry, that we could maybe add some information to our website page. I'm just looking at ours versus like the city of Canton's. Even like the tree commission members are listed out and it says, you know, why they were appointed or who appointed them, their expiration date of their term, details on why the tree commission was created and the ordinances. And then you click on tree commission information and explains why they have one, the events that they have coming up, the events they've had in the past, the pictures from the events in the past, the different contests or things they've done. Like it might be, not that we need our own website like the Art Commission, but it might be nice to just be able to share some more information on our website page too.
Okay. Other thoughts? So we will keep
I
this
have one.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry. Sorry for my tardiness too. But this is part of our mission. And I apologize, I didn't hear the beginning of the presentation, but and I don't know, you all are much better suited at education than I, but this is a big part of, I think, why we exist is the education piece, and spending a little bit of time talking it through and figuring it out, I think is important because whenever we first developed this with the administration and council, that was kind of a focus that, you know, we really ought to do more education and so I believe this to be important, and how that looks. Like I said, you younger folks know better than I what that should look like or how we go about it. I agree with a lot of the comments that have been previously made, but just want to kind of say that this is important, and how we go about it is important too. So, and sustaining it, absolutely. So, thank you very much for listening. And my
Okay.
comments. Thanks.
Yeah, I jotted some notes last week. And these are some of the things that other commissions do. And I don't know if it was Avon, but they have designated an official city tree. Is that something we want to do? Do we want to have the oak as our tree or another? We could have that as a contest. To see what folks think an Akron tree would be like. They post videos on pruning, and I'm driving around and I see so much volcano mulch. It's just incredible. And I think, having a video of volcano mulch, if nothing else, but there might be some information videos that we could do. The thought of having, and this is sort of related, but it was on the list. Some commissions have student members, and it's somebody, they had application process and they picked one. And that's sort of a liaison between youth and the tree commission. And petting zoo at Arbor Day and beers for trees, I think, was another one. But anyway, those are some things that we might think about in terms of, especially I think the video might be, and thinking about what we want to have as an official Akron tree. So those are some other things that I picked up.
I think those are great ideas, Sarah. I want to just offer, I think I need to share, maybe through Sarah Bibiano, to the whole commission. I've been trying to help create some like educational content, to help out with getting the word out about the benefits of trees. And so I had created for the Arbor Day event like a one pager that was a back and front on the benefits of trees and then how to plant a tree. And Sarah, to your point about a video, like a how-to guide that's short and people have the attention span for, we did that too in-house here at the city. I think it was this past year, 2024. It was like a 3-part video, how to figure out where to plant a tree, how to actually put it in the ground, plant it properly, including no volcano mulching, and then how to care for it properly after, in the weeks and months and years after. So I might just share that with you all so you can get a feel for what content exists and if we want to, build on that content. And so there's a starting point at least.
Yeah. And I would just urge communication. That's something that I think the Tree Commission should be aware of. I don't know about anybody else, but this is the first I'm hearing about these videos. So
yes, I might not have mentioned it, but happy to share them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other things on public education? All right.
So I do have one additional thing. It's somewhat related. One of the other organizations that I'm a part of, which is the Akron Parks Collaborative, we have been spending the last 2 weeks going to some of the finalist parks to ultimately be chosen for the Akron Parks Challenge. And one of the parks in question, Heinz Hillcrest, noted a strong desire to have trees installed at the park. And having discussed with them outside of that, or I guess immediately following the site visit, they're open to doing that either through if they were to potentially win the challenge or if they were just looking to work with the city itself. So I didn't really go far into that discussion because I know legal has had that discussion that we are not to, basically put things on the calendar or the agenda for, for the city arborist, and that wouldn't really just be a cool thing to do as is. But I did want to note, I guess, to the people that were on the call or potentially that could be impacted by that, is that and it'll be the Friends of Heinz Hillcrest as well as Councilman Donnie Kamer. So both respective groups or entities would be interested, I guess, in pursuing additional trees. And I don't know if they're looking to follow up with you all, if they would down the road, maybe, I guess, like someone from the city, maybe to reach out to them about that. But I just wanted to, at the very least, pass that information.
Yeah, Gabe, that'd probably be me.
Okay.
And I've spoke to Donnie Kamer about planting trees, and he's all for it. He was very specific that I give him some heads up, and we come up with a proper plan for planting. But I plan on doing that with him this fall, either
Okay.
this fall or next spring. And we're actually meeting with him next week. If I don't know if you're going to join us, so
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The meeting next Tuesday. Yeah.
Ward 7, yeah.
his
Yeah.
birthday, I believe.
I'm actually going to have to cancel that because I have two other board meetings at that exact same time. I'll send an email out to the Sarahs, Bradenberg and Viviano about that. But
I'll ask on your
yeah.
behalf. I'll talk to him about it and I'll let you know what we decide on, but I'm all for planting at Heinz Hillcrest. I'm just gonna come up with a plan with the council person, and sounds like Akron Parks Collaborative as well, but it'd be very efficient for the city to come up with that plan and use the tree planting budget to get some trees in the ground over there. So
Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
Well, no, that sounds great. I'm glad that you all are in the loop with that. I just wanted to mention that. I know it's only tangentially related to this, but because we were talking about, the outreach that will be related to the mission, I figured it was important to at the very least bring that up for the respective groups. But that's all that I had.
Okay. Thanks, Gabe. Okay. Anything else on public education? Okay, then I'll move on to second agenda item is objections. And we talked about this last month, and Matt, I think you wanted to talk about it a bit further.
I'm sorry, Sarah, say that one more time. I broke up.
Oh, okay. Last month we discussed objections, and for at least in the minutes it says we were going to talk about it some more.
Are there any updates from law, John, in regard to changes to the ordinance or the tree planting plan or policy that are underway?
Yeah, so there's nothing that's underway, like in the process, but we know what we need to do. So I know I recounted this to several of you, but I don't recall if I discussed this at a full meeting or with all the members. So I guess I'll just recount those previous discussions. Essentially, what I've found is that in our controlling documents, so in the Code of Ordinances that controls and forms the Tree Commission, there is no authority to for the commission to hear objections to notices of tree planting. Now, that authority is at least contemplated in the Master Tree Planting Plan, but the Master Tree Planting Plan has never actually been adopted by council. I could not find an ordinance where it was formally adopted. So it's not a controlling document for us. So I recommended in that previous meeting that we work to amend the controlling ordinance to allow the tree commission to actually hear those notices and be the body that somebody who wants to object to those can go to have their concerns heard. So again, that would require a modification to the code that would have to go through council and get approval from the administration as well. But we know how to do that. I'm also recommending that there be some type of adoption of the master tree planting plan. Of course, that's not something that the commission can do. That would be, again, another ordinance would have to be adopted by council and approved by the administration. And that's essentially the process that we need to go through to acquire proper authority to hear those types of notices.
Okay. Jeff, I believe that is your bailiwick.
Yes, thank you. And I'm happy to talk to Law here and get to work on it. I assume this is what we want to do.
Yeah.
We've done them in the past. And
Jeff,
so
I'm sorry, Jeff. Are you able to turn your camera on, please? Thank you.
sure, okay. I know you want to see me. That's okay. No problem. I get it. I get it. Just trying to multitask here. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that. And we can get that moving. I assume
Yeah,
I assume that the commission would like to continue that, although I guess we've been out of bounds somewhat. But I assume we would want to continue that procedure because it is, I think, a good outlet. So if everyone's cool with it, I'll go ahead and we'll get our side taken care of.
Yeah, Jeff, we can connect. I have some ideas for language. I'm sure you do as well, and we can work to get something figured out, and then perhaps present it to the commission.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So that was pretty simple. Now on to new business. One of the things that John and I have talked about is adopting some rules of procedure for the tree commission. Not so much for ourselves because we've been at this for a while, but for new people who come in to know what's expected of them, how a meeting runs, things we can do, things we can't do. And this is just something that we would draw up for ourselves. I think it's not a bad idea. Again, thinking about the future. I'm not going to be here forever. None of us is. And I would like to make sure that the tree commission continues on. I think we've set a pretty good course. And I would like to make sure that that continues on. And I think some rules of procedure would help that. But I'd like your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think a lot of tree commissions send out like a packet, kind of the fabric bag you were talking about at the city of Avon, full of a bunch of information and materials. So I think that'd be a good thing to have for the new members.
I think it'd be a good thing to have for the old members. Sometimes we can get lost in the sauce with things. Also, just wondering, I didn't like, for instance, I missed Arbor Day, and I'm sorry, my apologies. I'm going through moving and shaking and building and all kinds of things. And I seem to have gotten lost. I felt like I was lost. And sometimes you need, reminders and things. So I was wondering, I don't know if it's possible, like sometimes they maybe have things that's going on with the commission and maybe send it out a month. These are some things that you can tap into. These are some things, some dates, or I don't know, no, sometimes boards and probably even commissions, send out stuff early, like this is a view of the year that we may possibly like for training. I always miss the training. And so, because, our schedules are so, but like maybe here's the next training or something, just like it don't even have to be a set in stone schedule, but just possible things that we can tap into, or things that's going to happen, because sometimes it feels like I miss everything, and it's probably, I know it's my fault, but you know what I'm saying? And I know we're kind of new, but just to have some heads up, or, this is what you can do this month, or here's what you can, do or see. I don't know. Something like that.
You're on the top of my list to notify for the next Tree Commission Academy. So
Thank you.
you and Brittany, and then if I'm missing anybody who's really interested, let me know. But I think yourself and Brittany, I'm going to sign right up for the next one. It may be in July, unless it gets postponed because of they got more grant issues coming up, is what they've been telling me. So it might not be till January, but you are on the top of my list. So I won't let you
Just
forget.
FYI, Sandusky's is going to be in September. So when you guys choose a date for our junior year, that's a possibility.
Right. If somebody's willing to travel, it's going to be a lot easier. I just forget about the fact that yeah, there's courses in other parts of the state. If you're willing to drive 3 hours, you could go to this course in Cincinnati or something like that. So I can get you a schedule if you'd like for the courses all over the state.
Do you mean for like the people starting it out, like the freshmen, or everybody else has already started?
I'd like to get everybody in the tree commission through this course. I think it's really beneficial.
I reached out to Joe from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources Division of Forestry. There's no more freshman classes for 2025. The next will be 2026 in Youngstown.
Yeah, that's the one in January.
Yeah.
He's trying to get one in July.
Oh.
So he might not be able to make it happen because of the grant, so he's not telling anybody. But if he does make it work, I'll let you know.
Okay.
And I'll try and get all y'all through it. Sarah, is your hand raised?
Which
is.
one?
The other one.
That was me. Are you calling on me, Madam Chair?
Sure.
Okay. I just wanted to point out, because we were talking about rules of procedure, that the commission does have some rules in place. It does specify specifically about the rules for remote meetings, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention so we're not starting from scratch. So the commission members that are looking at rules of procedure can start from that document.
Is that in the ordinance that created us?
I believe we voted on that when we first were established.
Okay.
I can go back to the previous minutes, but
I'll
those rules
quickly
have been emailed out. I'm happy to send them again if anybody wants
That
to
would
make
be
sure they're
great.
at the top of your
So we all know what we're talking about. Thank you, Sarah.
So I guess a little bit about the scope of rules and procedures, if anyone's unfamiliar. When you have a public commission like the Tree Commission, typically, you have your controlling documents that we've been discussing, our ordinance that started us, and we also have rules of procedure. Those are essentially the decorum regulations that we or that you all vote on that govern how you operate within the purview of your controlling documents. I can get to work on drafting those. There's a lot of boilerplate information that we can pull from other City of Akron commissions, but there's definitely going to be things that we're going to want in there that are specific to the Tree Commission. So for next meeting, I can get like the bones of something together and we can look at it. I'll make sure that it gets to you all a couple days prior to the meeting and you all can then discuss it in open meeting. And I'll be there too and make amendments and we can just continue to refine it over the months if that's something, Madam Chair, that interests you and the other commissioners.
I think that would be very helpful. Do I?
All right, well, I'll go.
Agree? Okay, good. All right. So one of the things that came up when I went to Sandusky last week for the Tree Commission Academy is that there's homework. And some of the questions, actually most of the questions, ended up being answered by Matt because he's the one who actually knew the answers. And it's basically kind of finding out not how good your tree commission is, but I guess how active. It goes from you have a annual Arbor Day celebration down to we'd love to have one, but we haven't quite gotten around it. And it's just, that's a very bad example, but that's kind of what it is. And so Matt thought it would be helpful if we talked about it today a little bit. How many of you are going tomorrow and Thursday?
I
Okay,
think just Gabe, huh?
okay. So Matt, is it worth to talk about it?
Yeah, funny enough, you already mentioned one of the most important things that I was going to talk about, and that's the information for the folks coming in. Like I think the informational packet, or at least a ticket to the next Tree Commission Academy freshman year, which is something I'm going to be doing from now on. I'm going to be on top of getting everybody there. I didn't realize how awesome it was until we all went. There's not a whole lot of specific ones that I wanted to talk about. It would take a little bit of time. God, I'm looking at the ones that we scored. Would you guys mind? It would be best if I shared my screen with everybody. I think it might
That'd be
be.
great.
I think that's gonna be easy enough. So I think everybody can see this. And so we scored optimal in the meetings, moderate for operation, management, representation. A lot of this stuff is really just stuff that I would be doing, like the tree risk assessment, tree removals. We're on top of the removals for the most part based on the risk, but I'm not able to assess the risk as often as I would like. The tree commission recommends that I assess these trees like once every, or at least systematically, where at 2-year period, it says within a 2-year period, I'm shooting for a 5-year now with like the staff that we have, and that's challenging. Where we scored the lowest, young tree pruning and tree mulching. That's something that's not really happening. We don't have the staff for it within the city, and then our contractors do not have the skill to complete the work. So mulching and tree pruning are not happening. Watering is happening as needed and by our contractor. What's this one? Site preparation is also not something that's happening. I've actually never run into a city arborist who did this unless they were like running a really small town. The site preparation is done by the contractor, like as they plant the tree, or as by the city crew when they plant the tree, and that's it. We scored high in planting, the planting plan, utility relationship. It's actually something I was going to talk to you about, Casey, because you invited me to a meeting with First Energy. And in retrospect, I probably should have accepted that offer and gone to the meeting, because that's exactly what it's telling me to do right here. I am developing a relationship with the utility, but I think going to that meeting would have been important.
That's okay, Matt. We can connect with them again.
Okay. Marketing, we scored very high. Because we have at least 3 events per year. Relationship with council, mayor, leadership, strategic planning, all pretty good. And I don't know if anybody disagrees with me. I don't know if y'all did this homework. Those of y'all who went to tree commission freshman year, I don't know if you looked at it. I know Gabe, I believe you looked at this. So if you disagree with any of the things that I have down here, let me know.
Yeah. I mean, from what I've kind of gathered, not only from that discussion, but also from just what I picked up thus far, I would largely agree, pretty much spot on with kind of where we're at. and also based around some of the recommendations that I think that, from what I'm remembering, that came up from those discussions, I think we're largely kind of there. I would say that, when we're looking at some of the bottom activity, like the tree commission activity, I think that, we're somewhere amongst, the moderate to poor group. I can't remember exactly how many individuals currently have their certification, their TCA associate certification. But when we're looking at some of the other things, I think those are kind of spot on as far as what um, not only the city arborists are doing, but also kind of where we're moving as a city towards some of the planning and the equity and other things of that nature. So I would agree with what's been graded out thus far.
But overall, we scored pretty good, but this outlines what we can do to make things better, I think. So I'm most interested in where we have like a poor, and I might be able to put something together before the next month's meeting, and we can talk about this stuff. There was a question asked about the ordinance, which I really like. What did I say was the one change we could make to the ordinance? There wasn't much, but I do want to read that. The ordinance. We have a definition, we have planting, we have prohibitions, electric wires. These are just all the different sections in the ordinance. I think it's really good because it gives the city authority to protect trees from the homeowner, and we're able to enforce best management practices and standards, which is awesome. I think the next step might be to include Akron street tree policy in that document, and something to help us protect trees from city projects and construction, which is not in the ordinance yet. I think that'd be the next step. And I know we talked about it at the tree commission meeting. I don't know if anybody else has anything to, or the tree commission academy. I know we discussed it there. I can't remember if we talked about anything else. I think that was pretty much it.
Okay. The ordinance work, John, that would also be for you to draw some language up. May as well, since we're going to be doing all the other stuff, we may as well get it all done.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way our ordinance drafting process within the city works is that the requesting entity here, it would probably be Councilman Fusco would submit a request, and I would draft it. It would go to review by the requestor. So in this case, it would be Councilman Fusco. It would also be assessed by the mayor and cabinet, and then it would move to city council and go through city council's process. So Councilman Fusco, if that's something that you want to bring forward, we can have that discussion, but I can do the work for it, but that's not something that I have the authority to initiate.
Okay.
No, that's fair. And I'm more than happy to request that. Actually, our friend Sarah Viviano puts those together for us at our request. I do think they're two separate though, in terms of what we spoke about previously. And then looking at that other piece referencing protecting the city assets on the Devil Strip. I think that's what I heard. I think they're two separate, and I think it's going to take some effort in terms of, communicating with public service and the engineering bureau with regards to like their input, with regards to what we'd like to see and do. So that way, sorry, I don't even know what that is. I'm trying to. Anyways, yeah. So yeah, I'm more than happy though. And Sarah Viviano and I will talk afterwards, and we'll make those requests. Thank you.
Yeah, so these are all really big projects. The homework was just to get us thinking about it, and it just gets the ball rolling. That's all.
Yeah.
Like this is
That's cool. No, that's absolutely. We got to start somewhere.
right.
So no, this is the place to start, and this is also part of the vision with regards to the tree commission itself and having people like yourself and Leah and everybody in place. And this is just fantastic. We're moving ahead. It's great to see. And just for everyone's edification, before the tree ordinance was passed, we had noted that it hadn't been looked at in 50 years. So whenever it was originally passed, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, it was a long time. So, and I like looking at all of those things, maybe on the ordinance and different things, perhaps using that as a guide for us, moving forward as well. So it's good. Thank you.
Okay. That might be something to put in the rules. Tree commission will take a look at, rules, ordinance, whatever, every so many years. That way we don't get caught 50 years down the road.
Exactly.
Okay. Anything else on the homework, Matt?
No, ma'am. I think that completes it.
Okay. And then the last thing I have is the master tree planting plan itself. And I'm trying to think, is this a continuation of the discussion, John, that we had a couple of weeks ago?
Yes, Sarah, I believe it's the case. So I touched on this point earlier, but it was just the finding that I found with Sarah Viviano's help. Thank you, Sarah, that it looks like the council has never actually approved the master tree planting plan. And as such, I am not confident that any authority to the tree commission can flow from council through master tree planting plan to the commission. So that was my finding to present.
Okay. And again, that's something that is actually council's purview, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, Jeff, you got a lot of work to do. You're muted. Jeff, you're muted.
Sarah Biviano and I'll always have a lot of work to do, right, Sarah Biviano?
That is very true.
It's good though. It's good work. We appreciate it.
Okay. Any other items for the good of the order?
I just wanted to mention that the tree plantings went really well for the Arbor Week for the Tree Commission, and Akron Public Schools was really thrilled, and all the teachers that came out. It was just really great. Everyone loved it, and thank Davy Tree and Vismeg, and Anna Burns and Jim Jenkins from Davy, and also Leah and her team from the city who helped with a couple of the plantings. They were awesome. So thank you to everyone who came, and I think we should do it again.
Okay. We'll do it. Thanks, Jackie. Okay. Anything else?
I should probably apologize for hosting Arbor Day under a tent that had holes in it. Sorry about that. Won't do that next time. But thanks everyone for coming. I thought it went well.
Yeah. Well, let's hope next time it's not raining. I had some friends remark about waterlogged arborists and other folks. So
next time we'll make sure to get a tent on standby, or we'll do this right next to a pavilion if there's one conveniently located where we also need a tree.
okay. All in all, it was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So, okay. Anything else? Well, we are almost at an hour. I will adjourn this meeting of the Tree Commission, and we will see you next month.
Bye, y'all.